What's going on, guys? My name is Joe Deckelmeyer with ScreenRant. I am in the heart of Hollywood at the Scum and Villainy Cantina with the legendary Carl Lumbly. You might know him from Cagney and Lace, Mantis, but upcoming in theaters on February 14th, you will see him again in Captain America, Brave New World is Isaiah Bradley. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
You got this fantastic red, white, and blue mocktail in front of you that you can get here at Scum and Villainy.
Yes, let me just refresh for a moment.
Yes, absolutely, sir. Good, how we feeling?
Oh, that's very nice. Super heroic.
Super heroic, super heroic. Now, when we last saw Isaiah, he finally received the recognition for his sacrifice. Where do we find him in Brave New World, and how has he changed?
Well, receiving that recognition was wonderful because in many ways, what Sam Wilson did for Isaiah was he freed him. Isaiah was no longer in prison in his own heart and his own mind. So he was encouraged. He's got a statue. People know his story. They realized that he had done the thing he set out to do as a young man, which was to fight for his country and to represent the ideals of America in the best way he could. But then after the betrayal and the experimentation, and his trust was broken, his heart was broken. Sam brings him back. And even though he doesn't quite trust the nation, he trusts Sam Wilson, he trusts Captain America, in whom these ideals live.
Absolutely.
So where we find him now is back in the world. And back in the world in the sort of heroic way that most people do when they live their lives. You know, having livelihood, sharing with other people, sharing his expertise, training people, going to basketball games, enjoying leisure, you know, simple activities, simple joys. That's where we find him at the beginning.
Now, in The Falcon and Winter Soldier, Isaiah's words have a profound effect on Sam's decision to take up the mantle and the shield. How does their relationship evolve in the film?
Well, he's still so proud of Sam. He still feels that what Sam is doing now as Captain America, as long as he's staying true to himself, he believes in that, but he worries that the same thing could happen to Sam that happened to him.
Sure.
You know, everyone is striving to be the best they can, but we're human and we fall short of those ideals. And he doesn't feel he's qualified in the same way that Sam was qualified to counsel him about this brand new world that they're in. And he doesn't feel the same need to be as brave as Sam might feel. So he's looking at Sam, and that same kind of cautionary feel he had in Falcon and Winter Soldier is coming back up.
Now, Sam's role in opening the door for Isaiah to re-enter the world is pivotal in this film, and we saw that a little bit in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but we really get a taste of it here in Brave New World. Can you talk about their dynamic and the nature of heroism found in both of them, Sam and Isaiah?
Ooh, yeah. So I think because they're in different times, because they're in different worlds, heroism and bravery take a different form. Sam doesn't have powers. He doesn't have serum running through his system. He has his heart and his mind and his training. Sure. Because he is a social worker at heart. He wants to bind and unite. Isaiah came out of a kind of a more martial sort of history where you stop things by taking people down and you remove people from the planet. Sam has another idea about how everyone can be brought forward, and how everyone needs to be brave, and how everyone's heroism needs to be honored and respected and encouraged. And that the fact that you fall down from point to point, that is human.
Absolutely.
So maybe punishment is not maybe the stick is not as effective in our brave new world.
You've spoken about Isaiah's journey from unimaginable suffering. How do these things play into Isaiah's role in Brave New World?
Isaiah has not escaped that suffering. I think he has had to compartmentalize it in a way in order to move forward, but just like his love was put in a small place in his heart, in a much larger part of his heart, his consciousness, and his brain is what he went through. And not just what he went through, but what he went through as a representative of a group of people who can't seem to catch a break, who can't actually lean back and trust that all of the promises that are made to the other citizens of the Republic apply to them.
Sure. I'm a big Anthony Mackie fan, and he is headlining a Marvel Studios film, and I am super happy about that. Talk to me about working with Anthony Mackie on this scale.
It's only different because of the size of and scope of this project.
Sure.
But it's exactly the same as every other time I've worked with him. He's just consummate in that I said somewhere, he's kind of like a cross between a really, really powerful running back and classically trained ballet.
Really?
Yeah, there's a way in which Anthony dances his way through all of his different roles, because he's not only the lead, he takes a leadership role on the set. He calls everyone out, the crew, and when I say call out, I mean recognizes them. He plays with people, and then when it's time to not play, he does not.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm an Isaiah Bradley fan, but even a bigger Carl Lumbly fan. Mm-hmm. So I have to ask, I know this film went through a ton of changes, and I'm so happy that your character was really the heart of the film. But were there any scenes that were cut? Because I know there was a lot of shooting, reshoots, and all that stuff. Were there any scenes that were cut, and if so, that you were in, and if so, what were they?
Well, I mean, I don't. When you say a lot of reshoots and changes, for me, every project I've done goes through periods of reshoots, changes, script changes. Sometimes on the day. This was 2.5 years now, and it feels like some of the things, it's hard to remember if they left during rewrites, or I do remember some things that were shot that I didn't see last night, but I didn't feel like I had missed anything.
Sure.
I just didn't feel like there was anything that I said, oh my goodness, I wish that was there, or yes, and there was nothing that I thought, oh Lord, they put that in.
Now, having played Isaiah through such a transformative moment, has revisiting the character impacted your own views of legacy, resilience, and the process of moving forward through trauma?
I think I'll say no, because I feel two things. I'll try and explain it this way. There's a part of me that is not thrilled to have been the first black superhero on television, because I did not come in at the start of TV.
Sure.
TV had been going for a long time before I came in. I had worked with tremendous actors in stage, in television, and the idea that was a first, and that yes, it should be celebrated, but it's also it should be a cautionary thing. Why should it have taken that long? So there is a kind of trauma that I think we all live with. Large trauma, small trauma. You thought she was into you, she wasn't. Oh no. You have to live with that, and you have to move your way forward.
Especially on Valentine's Day.
Oh, come on now. So I think it's a part of everything. The idea that anyone can live a life without suffering, without trauma, doesn't make sense. The hope is that what you learn about yourself and what you learn about moving forward makes you a better person and distances that trauma in your life, that it can be used and then let go.
Well, look, Mr. Lumbly, you were the Martian Manhunter. You were iconic in that role, and your voice I still hear that voice when I read comic books now. If the opportunity presented itself for an MCU younger Isaiah Bradley telling that origin story, would you be open to voicing the characters' younger journeys in the MCU?
Oh yeah, I would. I like what this universe does. I love literature, and I think my son convinced me first with graphic novels that I was missing something, because I wasn't allowed to read comic books.
Really?
I had no. Oh no, my parents knew. That was not literature. According to my father and mother, there were classics, and there were new writers who were exploring contemporary ideas and issues and they should be attended to. But they're drawings and then little tiny bits of script. Nah. Mom and Dad came from another time, and they were not correct about comic books. My son knows that, and I think a lot of people know that. There is a way in which stories can be told in a comic book that allow them into consciousness in a different way. And it is in part because it's about what you're seeing as much as what you're hearing, in fact, maybe even more so than what you're hearing.
Now, what has playing Isaiah Bradley meant to you personally, and how has your understanding with him deepened with this film?
I think what Isaiah has meant to me personally, I mean, the man is 110 years old, or plus 110. So as I have moved forward, I now think of myself perhaps not as older. I'm just keep going to the next level. And Isaiah, the idea that you can maintain your strength, even if it's enhanced by a serum, which for me might be wheatgrass juice, you can remain vital and viable, and in your mind is where I think it makes the greatest impact. If you can think and do what you think, and if you have a reasonable control of your body and your mind and your imagination, you can continue. And so Isaiah is inspirational for me because I can continue. I don't know if I ever have really thought about retirement, but I know I'm not thinking about it now.
I want to switch gears for a second because we've been talking about superheroes in the superhero realm, but I want to talk about a real life superhero that you're working on a one-man show about, James Baldwin. Can we talk about that for a second? He's a writer, poet, civil rights activist. Go tell it on a mountain. Tell us about the project and what inspired you to create that project.
So I was a library nerd. I worked in libraries starting at 13, and I read a lot and read a lot. And and James Baldwin was the same thing. He was an autodidact. He didn't go to college. He read, and he read everything. He read pros and cons. He read literature from other countries, and he was a tremendous novelist, and he was an amazing, amazing essayist. He became a spokesperson, but all of that was what he had to do. He was an artist at heart, and the fact that he had to apply himself to reminding his republic that it was falling behind on the promises it had made to its people, and if it didn't keep those promises to each and every individual, it was not keeping its promise to everyone, and it was not keeping its promise to the future, because part of those ideals were about moving the country forward in this grand experiment of democracy. That was James Baldwin, and his life was not easy. Not to mention the fact that this was a man who did not see why he had to declare himself as gay, but he But he wrote this amazing book, Giovanni's Room, in which he depicted a relationship, a love relationship between two men. And as it happened, he wrote about two white men. And he was vilified on every level. There were those people who were racists, hated him because he was black, and black people didn't quite understand him because he wasn't talking about hatred of white people. He was talking about wanting them to realize that their oppression of other people was oppressing them at the same time. Why don't we stop it and then we all move forward together? He lived out of the country. He was called an expatriate, but he was really just a commuter.
Oh, I cannot wait. Mr. Lumbly, it's been an honor talking to you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Joe.
And if you're in Hollywood, you must come down to Scum and Villainy. This is the greatest place you can come to right after watching Captain America: Brave New World. Talk to like-minded fans at the bar. And who knows, maybe you'll see a cosplayer here or there. But this has been a fun time. Thank you so much, sir. It's been an honor.
Absolutely my pleasure.
Thank you.